Hello, everybody. Welcome to the February 13th, 2024 Commission meeting. And I apologize if this sound isn't too good. We just fixed the audio system that went down. So I want to apologize first to everybody in the audience for a late start to our meeting. That's not usual, but we had a workshop that ran over long in the conference room. So I apologize to everybody. But we will get this meeting underway, and I'll ask Val to please go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Danio?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Villa?
Here. And I'll remind everybody at this time to please silence any electronic devices that may make noise at this time. And I'll ask you to all please stand for the invocation led by our Vice Mayor, John Penny. And afterwards, please continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you pray with me? Dear gracious God, we thank you for the many gifts you bestowed upon us all. We thank you for our citizen, our business, and our employee of the year. We ask that you place your hand of blessing on this meeting. We ask that you would guide and direct our meeting so it's full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. We ask that you protect our men and women in the armed services as they protect our freedoms that so many people take for granted. We ask that you keep our city teammates safe as they do their jobs. God, please bless this meeting, this city, and our great country. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Penny, for that invocation. And tonight is a special night. We have some individuals that we will be honoring tonight. And is Beth here? There's a lot of
back. She's in the back.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we have the 2023 Employee of the Year, we have the 2023 Citizen of the Year, and the 2023 Business of the Year. And what we're going to do is I have a proclamation. I'm going to read through this, and afterwards I'll ask that person to come up if you want to speak. I know some people do not like to speak. You don't have to, but if you just want to say a few words, you can come to the podium. If not, we ask that you still take a picture with us because we want to honor your achievement and help you, congratulate you on your success. So the first one we have is for Elizabeth Wren, who is the Employee of the Year. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill recognizing Elizabeth Wren, Administrative Assistant in the Public Works Department, as the 2023 Employee of the Year. Whereas Elizabeth Beth Wren began her employment career with the City of Holly Hill as the Administrative Assistant in the Public Works Department on April 9th, 2007. And whereas Beth has shown herself to be a bright, dependable employee with an impeccable work ethic and is often the first line of communication for the Public Works Department. And whereas Beth has always and continues to treat citizens in an exceptional, courteous manner and has a very strong institutional knowledge of the Public Works Department, which translates into a time and cost savings to the city, as most calls are able to be resolved at the time of the call, while the remainder are routinely routed to the appropriate staff. And whereas beyond Beth's normal duties, she has been a member of the Wellness Committee and has actively and patiently assisted coworkers in health-related items, including software applications. She has been involved and extraordinarily helpful in special events such as the annual Christmas parade and the Christmas tree lighting ceremonies, and has dutifully served as the main point of contact for the city during disaster response. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida hereby recognizes Elizabeth Wren, Administrative Assistant to the Public Works Department, as Employee of the Year 2023. Would you please put your hands together, and Beth?
I just want to say thank you guys for the opportunity, and I couldn't do it without all the people that I work with.
All right.
and next up, we have the Citizen of the Year. Is Kimberly Lawson here?
Front row.
Thank you for being here. And now I'm going to read into record this proclamation. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, recognizing Kimberly Lawson as the Citizen of the Year for 2023. Whereas the City Commission, in unanimous agreement, has designated Kimberly Lawson as the deserving recipient of the 2023 Citizen of the Year Award. And whereas Kimberly Lawson, the sole proprietor of Simply Gina's, showcased her dedication to the community by not only establishing her restaurant in Holly Hill, but also investing in a home within our city shortly thereafter, illustrating her profound attachment to the community in which she operates and holds dear. And whereas Kimberly's contributions to the community are numerous, including her initiatives during the COVID-19 pandemic, such as providing free meals for children and supporting programs like No Kid Hungry, alongside regular donations to Meals on Wheels. And whereas Kimberly is actively engaged in the community, volunteering on the city's police pension board, participating in events like National Night Out by offering free meal coupons, and providing assistance to first responders and residents in need during hurricanes. And whereas her philanthropic efforts extend to annual events such as the Holly Hill Police Toy Drive and Thanksgiving, where she donates all sales and tips to support local families and provides free lunches to students involved in the Holly Hill Police Department's programs at UBIC and Holly Hill School. And whereas Kimberly's contributions are not limited to her role as a business owner, but stem from a personal commitment to making a positive impact in the lives of others throughout our entire community. Now, therefore, I, Chris Villa, the mayor of the city of Holly Hill, on behalf of the City Commission, hereby recognizes Kimberly Lawson as the Citizen of the Year 2023. Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you very much to everybody, and I couldn't do a lot of the things that I do up there without everybody's support and help from the city and my family, so I really appreciate you.
All right, and we have one more person to honor here tonight, and that is our Corporate Citizen of the Year. And this award is chosen by the Chamber every year, but this year was special because it's a special person to me. She's a dear friend of mine. Anybody that is in and around the community knows her, and she is someone that if you ever need any help, she's the type of person, if you pick up the phone, she says yes, 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 no matter what it is. And I just think so highly of her, and I'm so proud that you were chosen for this award, and the commission supports you unanimously here. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, recognizing Carmen Ruiz from Fast Signs as the Corporate Citizen of the Year for 2023. Whereas the Holly Hill Chamber of Commerce has nominated Carmen Ruiz from Fast Signs as the Corporate Citizen of the Year for 2023. And whereas Carmen Ruiz assumed leadership at Fast Signs in 2017, bringing about a significant growth in fostering community engagement by joining the Holly Hill Chamber of Commerce as an active member in that same year. And whereas Carmen Ruiz has demonstrated exemplary commitment to the city of Holly Hill through her active participation in various community programs spanning throughout Volusia County, earning accolades such as Women in Business, Small Business Woman of the Year in 2020, and being recognized as a 40 under 40 honoree in 2021. And whereas her leadership extends beyond business success with her involvement in charitable endeavors, including serving on the Executive Committee at the Domestic Abuse Council Board of Directors as chairwoman, and participating in community give-back initiatives such as the Show Us How You Care campaign, where Fast Signs was honored for their contributions to the community, including donations to the Holly Hill Police Department for the 5-0 Club program at the Holly Hill School and UBIC Academy. And whereas Carmen Ruiz's philanthropic spirit is further evidenced by her ongoing support for local charities through donations and discounts, including offering reduced rates for nonprofits and veterans, it is always apparent that her main mission in life is to give back. So now therefore, I, Chris Villa, the mayor of the city of Holly Hill, and on behalf of the city commission, do hereby recognize Carmen Ruiz from Fast Signs as the Corporate Citizen of the Year 2023.
Right.
I'll follow suit with what Kimberly said, that we want to do work that matters, and we get to do work that matters with good partners, and that includes you guys, and for me, my wonderful team that really believes in give back, and so we really appreciate you guys. Thank you for your honor.
Just to brag on her more, yesterday, over the weekend, she just installed a new community mailbox, a book giving thing at the Sunrise Park. So she continues to serve our community, and that wasn't even mentioned here in the resolution, but we thank you for that. So here you go.
Get the ones for our clerk. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Good job.
Need a flash cube.
Alrighty, so if anyone was here just for that, you can feel free to leave now unless you want to bore yourself over the next hour and a half to 2 hours.
Or less, hopefully.
Take care.
Or less, hopefully.
Alrighty, so now we get the fun stuff out of the way, and we will move now to our public comments. This is the opportunity for any citizen in the audience to speak to the commission about anything not on our regular agenda tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission? Yes, ma'am. Just come on up, and you'll have 5 minutes. Just state your name and address for the record, and you can talk about anything not on our agenda tonight.
My name is Jennifer Blanchett. My home is at 118 LPGA. In 5 weeks, I'll be 74. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm here tonight because of harassment from the Holly Hill Police Department. I have some information that I will only have 3 packets, but it's pretty much made my life miserable. Feel free to pass it around if you want.
Are these all the same packets?
It is. If you
Okay.
want to pass it around, it's fine.
All of them back?
That's pretty much all I have to say, but my issue is with the Holly Hill Police Department.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Blanchett. And do you want to say anything further before you sit down, or just want us to review this?
No, if you'll just read this, I've been in touch with Chris Yates.
Okay.
Who is over the officers. And apparently, I don't know, I have no idea what's going on there, but anyway, you'll see.
Yes, ma'am.
And that includes my medical record, which was reported to the state.
Okay. All right, we will review this, not during the meeting, but I can review this afterwards, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blanchett. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like, yes, sir? And I know I don't need to tell you the rundown, Mr. Legary.
What am I supposed to do?
I could probably do it for you.
Jim Legary, 342 Burley. I have a couple of things I want to. The other day, I sat at the railroad tracks, I think, for 45 minutes when the train hit that person. And then when I read the reports, I thought how very typical it is of the way that we're treating people. They gave the man's name and his age, the fact that he was homeless and had been arrested multiple times. But nothing substantive about what might have happened, how we maybe could have helped him out of homelessness, maybe something. It just, I thought it was very typical about the way that we're writing off folks. I want to commend Ms. Ruiz for the library, and I want to point out that for years there has been a volunteer library at the Y, and I'm commending the commission. There seems to be a great deal more activity at the Y of late, which is just marvelous. The third thing, and I know that the lawyer here is going to smile when I say this, is it not a violation of church and state to have that sign on Ridgewood? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Legary, and thank you to you and your family for all the work that you do for our library for so long over there at the YMCA at our gym. It's very well needed and very well appreciated. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission about anything not on our agenda tonight? Going once, going twice. All right, seeing no more, I will close public comments and we'll move to number 4 on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 workshop and the January 23rd, 2024 regular city commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? We have a motion to approve the minutes from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Danio. Would anybody in the audience like to speak on the minutes? Seeing none, I close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move to our consent agenda. Would any commissioner like to remove any item on the consent agenda? The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda, and unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak about anything on our consent agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, I close public participation on the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Danio. No discussion is required on this. We'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now, number 6 on our regular agenda, we'll move to item 1, which is Resolution 2024-R-9. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2024-R-9 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Sawgrass, Inc. for the construction of third biological treatment unit and influent headworks modifications at a cost of $8,971,000, and authorizing the city manager to execute an affiliated budget amendment and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte.
It's actually Sawcross,
What did I say?
Sawgrass. That's okay.
Sawcross, I'm sorry.
So we're gonna, I'm gonna ask Joseph to come up and introduce the agenda item, and then Brad from Meat Hunt is here, and he's gonna give you a lot more detail. So he's gonna bring you up to speed on what's happening over at the plant.
All right, floor
Good
is yours
evening.
if you'd like to introduce yourself for the record, Brad.
Good evening, Commission. Joe Grashowskis, I'm the Deputy Public Works Director, Utilities. I recently was hired in to the group here. I've been a 25-year resident here, 30 years' experience in utilities. So on tonight's agenda is the recommended award for the third BTU and headworks improvement for the wastewater plant. The project was originally designed by Mead and Hunt. It was bid and the evaluations have come back and it's attached to the agenda item. This is a long-standing capital project in our master plan, and it was started long before I got here. During COVID, the city was awarded an American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, money in just over $6 million. The city's intent for that ARPA money was to create a sustainable utility. We have received, about half of that in cash already towards this project. The city received 4 bids for this project on January 9th. The bids for the project range from $11.7 million to just under $9 million. The good news is we got some very competitive bids. Sawcross was the low bid, and the next closest bidder to them was 1% different, so it was a really tight bid, which meant it was, competitive. However, the bids were significantly short of our ARPA funding, so we're going to need a budget amendment to carry this project forward. The goal of the project is to basically increase resilience at the facility, and I'll give you an example. So we have 2 trains currently operational at the wastewater plant. This will add a third train. Why do we need the resilience? We can't take one of the trains down to fix and repair it without going out of compliance. So this will give us the ability to actually maintain the future and make it a sustainable program. We're also putting in a new headworks and some chemical control systems that are badly in need of being replaced. Funding for this project obviously is coming from the ARPA money. There's $5.5 million left on that. We'll need to defer some other capital projects from this year's budget to make this happen in the magnitude of $3.5 million. That's in the budget agenda too. All right, so what you don't know is staff has been working very hard with Mead and Hunt, and we have aggressively looking for state appropriations and grant money. Staff is optimistic with some of the feedback we've been getting so far. Most currently, the city has applied for 2 EPA hurricane relief grants. These are related to Ian and Nicole's influence. We had flooding and severe, we didn't have problems at our plant, but it severely impacted our operations. We've applied for a $11.25 million water resilience grant and a 9.3 wastewater grant. The city's in a unique position because we did have impacts for these grants, and not everyone can apply for them, and we'll be in a good position to get them. And I'm pleased to say that today that we have met the first cut, and we have been recommended to the EPA for funding this. So even though we're deferring some projects, there's a very good opportunity. We're going to get that money plus more to make our utility resilient. So fingers crossed. We're in a good position here. With that, I'll introduce Brad Blaze. He is the engineer of record for this project. If you have any technical questions about the project or the grant, we'll be happy to answer them.
Perfect, thank you very much. And Brad, if you'd like to come on up and introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Brad Blaze, Mead and Hunt. Joe gave a great synopsis of the project. We've been looking at this project, I don't know if you remember, probably 7 years ago. We added a clarifier, but we didn't have the money to do the third BTU. So we stubbed out, we built the piping, we set up the plant to handle the additional process basin when the time came, and that time is now. So we're able to build the third train and then come back in and do some rehab work. Just the nature of pricing right now, everything's expensive. And I feel good about the pricing. It was tight bids, it was good contractors. We have an outfit out of South Jacksonville that I'm familiar with that'll be doing the work. So I'm very comfortable with the contractor. And again, the best part is tomorrow we we'll find out what's called the IUP, the intended use plan will be adopted by the DEP, and that will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I think I sent a Teams invite to staff, and y'all can listen in. And as long as we stay where we're at for both the projects, we are on the intended use plan. And if that intended use plan carries through to the next meeting, which would be probably 3 or 4 weeks after that, we'll get the $9 million for this project that was described. And then what that'll do is open up the opportunity to, do certainly the project that we have at hand, and then potentially some of the other projects that we've been looking at, the filter rehabs. We only put in 1 bar screen instead of 2. We can do a lot of other things, and it just adds a lot of flexibility. And then the water plant projects will be follow-on. So at this point, I'd just like to answer some questions. And
Brad, I would just like to say, great work on this, but it's my understanding that your company, possibly even you, brought this grant to us from the FDB. Is that correct?
I would give that one to Cheryl Parsons, our funding expert. She's in Atlanta, and she worked for EPA for 30 years, and she was the regional manager in District 5 in Atlanta, and we recently hired her, and she kind of put all this together. So I'll defer that congratulations to Cheryl.
But
So.
the point to that is that you and your company brought us this opportunity. And just for the audience to be aware, we had to come up to certain standards within our Public Works Department over at our water and wastewater plant. And initially, that cost came to us at $6 million. And we looked at each other and we said, how is this small community going to be able to fund this? And we began budgeting, making hard budgeting decisions over several years to get us to where we were. And then finally, the numbers came back, as you see tonight, at $9 million. So we're $3 million short. So we're seeking state appropriations in this current cycle, but then for you to come and your company to bring us a $20 million grant process to help us with this and other projects that we also need to get done over there is so big that I just want to take a second to just congratulate you. Thank you so much on behalf of the citizens, our city commission. I am so grateful. When I got this news, I almost jumped out of the seat. So thank you for what you've done. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
That-
We love working for the city of Holly Hill, and proud to be doing it for many years, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make that statement and make sure that we gave thanks. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's all. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right, at this time, are there any further questions for any staff? All right, seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission about this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Vice Mayor Penny, a second from Commissioner Curry. Is there any discussion needed? All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to number 2 on our regular agenda, which is a request that the City Commission determine whether or not a nuisance exists at 1625 Aniston Avenue, and if so, determine what course of action should be taken. Mr. Forte.
Mayor, I visited the property at 1625 Aniston several times over the past 3 months. When I sent the email last to the commission on October 25th, the property owners were making little but some progress. Due to the progress being made, I decided to extend the time period an additional 30 days and allowed for the roll-off container to remain for an extended period of time. The first roll-off was full, however, the second roll-off was not even half full when it was removed. I visited the property on January 2nd. On my way to the office, I met with the owners and informed them that I actually see more items on the property than had been there on my previous visits. They informed me that it would be gone by Wednesday. I told them I would return on Thursday morning. I waited until Friday to visit the property again. I made contact with the owners to discuss what appeared to be even more items on the property. It's clear that the owners have been misleading and deceiving me and the code officers for a long period of time about removing junk items from their property. It's clear that the owners may have a hoarding problem which affects the conditions of their property and the properties around them. The amount of junk remaining on the property is a harbors for pests and a nuisance to the neighborhood, to the point of lowering property values and becoming a health and safety concern for the neighbors. The direction of the City Commission from the September 26th 2023 Commission meeting is contained in the agenda item. As part of the motion and direction, the Commission did not specify that the city staff can direct the company to go onto the property to remove the junk. Therefore, I'm presenting this item to the Commission this evening with a request to have a third party enter the property to remove all junk causing the code violations. A letter stating the details was delivered to the property owners. So in summary, what I'm telling you is that we started this back in September. I was told to provide a roll-off container on the property and give the owners 30 days to have the junk removed. As long as they were making progress, I can give them another 30 days. There was progress being made, so I allowed it to continue for a second period of time from October into November. They were still making some progress, slow, but still some progress. I left the container there. I don't remember what day that it was picked up, but it was there well beyond the time period that we should have had it there. And then when I visited the property a couple of more times, as they were, what I define as progress is the volume of junk that's on the property starts to go down. When I went to visit the property a couple more times, more junk was brought onto the property, going in the reverse direction. So it's clear that I can't get the attention of the property owners to clean the property up to the degree of what the neighbors' properties look like. Now, it is significantly better today than it was in September when we first brought this to your attention, but it's not at the condition of where the neighborhood standards should be and the amount of junk and material on the property. Val, do you have some photos? The code officer went out this afternoon to take some additional pictures just to give you an idea if you have not had a chance to go by and look at it. So I'm asking for one of two things. Either we need to direct a third party to go onto the property to remove the items that shouldn't be there, or we accept the fact that hoarding is a condition and there's not much that we can do about it, and we allow the property to remain in the condition that it is.
These are pictures taken from 2 p.m. today, and then there's another set from 4 p.m.
Either one is fine. I wanted to go through all of them.
Okay, we'll do the 4 o'clock ones.
Okay. If you So this morning, they did have a U-Haul on the property, and from this morning to these pictures this afternoon, they did remove a lot of material. They probably filled that U-Haul up, placed some other items in that truck and on the street. So now what we're seeing on the property is some outdoor furniture, a lot of plants. There's the motorcycle, there's that air conditioning unit. The stuff in the truck, obviously, we're not concerned about. So they did, I don't know where it is, but they did do a lot of work today to get the stuff off, I guess, in anticipation of tonight's meeting. So I'll tell you that the way it looks today is not the same that it looked this
You're
morning
right.
and yesterday.
You're right. Huge difference today.
Can we see the ones from this morning?
Sure. These were taken at 2 o'clock today.
Is that a ladder to the tree from the
I was
roof?
gonna say, that looks a little dangerous.
Don't do that, ma'am. Please. So a significant difference was made today, and I know we do have the property owner here, and I will allow you the chance to speak here in a minute after we get, just so you know, if you wish to, before we open it up to the public, but yes. That was this morning, these pictures.
These
The
pictures are
first
2
pictures
o'clock
were
today,
from
and then the first set was from
There was 2
4
o'clock
o'clock
and 4.
today.
I did a lot in
2 o'clock and 4 o'clock?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a lot in 2 hours.
No, it's not 2 hours, the same as this morning.
No.
No, it was actually
No,
2 o'clock.
2
2 o'clock
and
this
4
afternoon,
o'clock.
and then 4 o'clock
That's
this
what I thought,
afternoon.
that's 2 hours.
Yeah, we don't have any pictures from this morning, but we do have the, Joe says
I don't know if the original,
do we have the original
Yeah,
pictures?
in
If
the
you wanna see
In the
original
agenda
pictures,
packet,
in the agenda item, there are some
Yeah.
other pictures that are
You
in
can
there.
see where we started, where we're at.
Yeah, Val, if you just want to pull that up for
Yep.
the public, I know the commission, we've already seen that, but you can have those on screen for anyone in the audience. Just so the commission's aware, we'll take a look at these photos, and then I open the floor now if anyone has any questions for staff. And then we'll open it up to the applicant to speak, and then we'll open it up to the public to speak if they so wish, and then we can talk about discussion of a motion.
Reading the part that's in Joe's memo, that came from the last meeting, you made a determination that a nuisance existed. So your motion does not need to include that. That determination was already made. So the focus needs to be on future remedial action from this point forward, if necessary. And I agree that there's been significant changes from these pictures to 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Yeah, right. And here's what I'll say on this, and first off, just a question, Mr. Forte, I see in our agenda packet too, that it says the property owner does not have an active water account and has been receiving free trash collection for at least 4 years. The amount of funds lost do not, due to not paying a utility bill or trash collection is undetermined. So is that from now on stopping? Did we correct that, or?
No, as of today, I still don't believe that there's a water account. Sherry, do you have a water account yet? Okay, and I told you I'd fix that. I told you to fix it.
How is there no water account? There's no water at the
She's
house?
operating off of a well. So she buys drinking water, but she'll use well water for other purposes. So, and that's a violation of our whatever that water policy is that we have. You can't use well water. But in the meantime, none of the R&R is getting paid. The sewer charges aren't getting paid. The trash charges aren't getting paid, and there's been a significant amount of trash. So for a number of years, we're providing free services to the property. And this isn't, there's other properties that this applies to, but the conditions of the outside of the house, we've had a number of complaints about the property over the past several years, more so this past year. But like I said, in the last day, they made a significant amount of progress. If they would have made this progress 3 weeks ago, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I agree. I wish it came sooner, and we wouldn't even have to be here tonight. Are there any further questions from the commission before we allow the applicant or the owner to come up? All right, you can speak if you want. If you don't feel that, if you do, just come up to the mic
have to
first.
come
Thank
up.
you, ma'am. Just wait till you get there, just because it has to be recorded, state law. Yep.
I got the biggest U-Haul that they invented, I mean, biggest one, and I'm filling it up, and I'm actually,
And just state your name for the record and the address.
Sherry Hammond.
Thank you.
As you can see, that, and I got rid of like 3 vehicles off the property, I mean, they just took them away, and it was things that was gonna be fixed, but, it took time to save the money and fix. I'm gonna be 75 years old tomorrow, a matter of fact, my birthday. So, it's difficult. I'm by myself. My husband passed, and I've been alone, basically. My daughter's been helping me a little bit here and there. But, like I said, I got the biggest U-Haul that I could get, and I'm gonna keep it another day to finish the backyard, because we did get the front all done. And, so there's a big difference from even, like you said, this morning from this afternoon. So now I'm gonna keep it another day, or maybe another 2 days, and continue and finish the whole backyard too. So it will be done, you guys will be happy with that.
Yeah. Thank you. And I just want to clarify too, you said they took the cars away. We didn't take the cars away.
Well,
You took the cars away, but just for clarification.
They had
And
taken away.
happy early birthday. You've made a lot of progress and I appreciate that. And that's, I think, look, you know, I live on the same street and I hear from the neighbors. I've heard about it for years and years. And I think all of us appreciate what you're doing today to make that big difference. And I think that you have made a big difference, so I appreciate that. Mr. Penny, do you have a question?
Yeah, what are your plans with the contents of the U-Haul? Where's it gonna go?
I'm taking it to the dumps. I'm throwing it all away at the dumps. Dump run. Yep.
Mr. Daniel?
I think the biggest concern with the commission is what we see today, we're afraid what we're gonna see tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. And I think we're kinda all thinking the same thing.
Well, I had a home repair business, and I did collect, like, all kinds of stuff so I could make money from the next home, you know, or I not even make money. I belong to a church that I volunteer a lot of, you know, help people out. So I do have a lot of stuff on hand, like if somebody needs a door or something, but now I had to get rid of everything, so I don't have that anymore.
Which is the other side of the problem, is we were operating an illegal salvage business from the property.
And I was not operating a salvage business at all. If I got some piece of scrap here and there, but scrap you don't get no money for anymore. Years ago you did, but no more. And I wasn't a business, it was, I buy gas. I mean, I wasn't making any big money.
I would have to venture a guess that with everything being left outside, that you wouldn't even be able to provide it to the church as a charity because whatever the item is ruined from the weather.
No.
And my fear, I'm graciously happy that you got done what you got done today. My fear is also, as Commissioner Danio said, I don't want to come back and in another month this look like this
No, it
because
won't, it won't,
you're
it
finding
won't.
scrap along the road that you want to keep
I'm
and,
on a roll right now, and I'm gonna continue. That's why I'm keeping, I was gonna bring
and that is
the truck
awesome.
back today at 5 o'clock, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna keep it another day and keep on going and, you know, just,
Scott,
that's why I got the biggest one.
what guarantee can we put in place that this doesn't happen again? Is there one?
No, not really. I mean, you made a determination that it was a public nuisance. And then you set up a time period within which she could come into compliance. Obviously, she did a lot today.
Yeah.
So the question is she in compliance, or do you want to send staff out to remove the balance of what's there? That's really the question.
I'm doing it.
If we let her finish her,
Project,
she's 90% or whatever
Yeah.
there,
right.
that doesn't cripple us from, in a month or two, having this same decision to make if we have to.
Well,
You gotta start all over.
if she eliminates the public nuisance,
Right.
she eliminates it. And then she brings back stuff to create.
It's a whole
public
new,
nuisance.
Oh, I'm not gonna do that, believe
Well,
me.
I understand it, but this is a what-if scenario.
Okay.
Then you gotta come back and make a new determination that a new public nuisance has existed and was created.
Right,
So,
I agree.
you could.
could we
continue-
table this
I was gonna say, you could continue or table this for.
for the
month.
next meeting? I don't
next
want to do a
meeting.
month because we were
just-
really nice back last year. Really nice.
You could table it and see where it is.
Okay.
And then, you, based on, get pictures, just like we have as the condition exists right before the
Mayor,
meeting.
I can tell you my preference would be to table at a meeting, give her the opportunity, that's 2 weeks. I mean, last year, we said a month, and here we are today in
4
in the
months.
middle of February.
So you gave the city manager the discretion to work with him, and he clearly did that. He
Yes,
tried to work with him,
absolutely.
So,
But it's
you
It's
might
great
wanna
to
do-
see it happen, but it's a little disheartening that it happened at the 11th hour.
That happens a lot, though. You gotta push people.
Well, anyway, Mayor, that's
The only other
what
thing
I
I
would
would
be in
throw out
favor
is
of.
if there are particular things you see in the 4 o'clock picture that you would like to see
This is
removed.
old, why don't you get another picture? This is old, like, from a year ago. Get the newest one on. That
yeah,
one
those-
shouldn't
I'm
be
saying
up
the
there.
four-
All
if
those
there's-
cars are
yeah.
gone and
If there's
everything
a
else.
four- if there's
Well, they were
something-
showing all the pictures. They were
You all-
showing
all that's
before
gone.
and,
Yeah, if you,
The
if there's
newest one.
something that you see in the 4 o'clock picture that you don't want to see there
Right.
in 2 weeks,
Right.
it might be a good idea to say, look, get these things out of here.
Right.
Mr. Mayor.
So,
um,
oh, you have something? Vice Mayor.
So, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we addressed this last year, we decided that we would provide 2 roll-offs for her, and that we would pay for it, but add it to her utility bill on a payment basis.
No, not added to her utility bill, but bill her in 12 equal installments.
Okay, so has she made any installment payments?
I don't believe so, no. The thought was originally to put it on the utility bill, but if she didn't pay it, that would put the utility bill at risk of having the water turned off.
Okay.
But I didn't know at that time that she didn't have
water
a
bill.
utility bill for 4 years.
So, I agree with Commissioner Curry. I question why did it take so long, but at the end of the day, we're getting the results that we want. But I would even go the other way. She said she's gonna keep the U-Haul for 24 to 48 hours. I'd give her until 5 o'clock Friday afternoon to get rid of everything that's under the tarps there. Otherwise, we're gonna hire a contractor next Monday to come take care of it and send her the bill. Because if we kick it down the road, 2 weeks down the road, you know, we've given deadlines have come and gone, and basically my patience, if I lived next door to this, I would be at City Hall every day, I'd be at the mayor's house every day yelling at him.
They are.
I could agree with you.
But we've given too many deadlines, and so I would leave it at the discretion of the city manager. All that stuff that's under tarps, you can clearly see a motorcycle, a boat, a rabbit hutch, or whatever that is back there. It just needs to be, all that stuff in all, the plants, I like the plants, I like the outdoor furniture. That looks great right there. I don't know what that box is. I don't know what that box is by the Bird of Paradise there. But if you're saying you can do it in 24 to 48 hours, I'll give you 72. And we'll be there Monday morning to finish it, if you don't. That would be the direction I would go.
All right, are there any further questions? Yes, sir.
I just have only concern I have, I don't have any concern whatsoever of the value of the material is around and what you can do with it or anything like that. The only concern I have is where, do we have any proof of where it's going when it leaves your property? Do we know it's going to the county dump? Do we know it's not staying in the
I'll
U-Haul
bring you
and coming
a
back?
receipt if you want. Don't matter to me. I'll bring you a receipt. I ain't shy.
And the only other concern I'd have is there's no question really about what is there. We just have to go by what has to be done. It's within the code of the city, is what it has to be cleared up to do. If you need extra time, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, within reason, but it just has to come in compliance with the code is all.
Right. Well, I'm not paying for
And we have to make sure
expensive truck
of where
every
it's
day.
going.
A couple of days is fine with me. That's enough.
I don't want to stay in the U-Haul and then turn around and come back in the U-Haul.
Any further questions before we open to the public? All right. Yes, Mr. Daniel?
No, it's just, you've got it full now, and then you're gonna take it, and then you're gonna bring it back, is what your plan is?
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
gonna make a
fill
couple
it again?
Oh, yeah. I'm filling it, and then I'm gonna, if I have to fill it again, it's about, I would say half full now. Because I got the biggest truck, I don't even know how long it is. It's longer than my driveway. It's so big,
No,
the biggest one.
All right, thank you, ma'am, very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we open it to the
No,
public?
I'll have it done.
All right, thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this before we take a motion? All right, seeing none, we'll close public participation. I'll open the floor for a motion. I believe you thought you were going to make a motion.
You can go ahead.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that Scott, help me out here. we give her till Friday.
You might as well do Saturday and Sunday, because you do Monday, so.
Okay.
Make a motion that the city staff will inspect the property Monday morning, and if it is not in compliance with the code, city staff will hire a contractor to come and remove all items that are non-compliant with city code.
City clerk, that's my motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Mrs. Penny.
I don't have anything else.
Or Mrs. Curry. I'm sorry.
It's
Gosh.
okay.
Got 2 pennies.
No, it's not happening.
2 pennies.
As much as everybody thinks it is.
I always say we get their 2 cents
We
for
get-
sure.
Yes, the 2 cents.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, do you understand the motion? Mr. Danio asked, do you understand the motion that was just made, that if by the end of the weekend it's not taken care of, that the city, this motion, if this passes, the city would go ahead and remove the rest of the items?
On Monday.
Come out and inspect it.
Okay, so she understands the motion. Do you have comments or discussion?
No, I just want to make sure we're clear.
I was hoping maybe, and I should have spoke up more, that we would table it, just because of the progress that we see. I've been in support of this moving it along. You know, I hear about it for the last several years constantly from all of our neighbors. I'm sure commissioners, you've heard about it as well. And we've gone through this process for well over a year now, and we've had staff investigate it to the nth degree. I want to be able to stand unanimous with this commission, but I do really hope that you can get this cleaned up by then, and that this action does not have to take place. So, with that, is there further discussion?
I just want to say,
Yes, sir.
it looks like she works better under pressure, so this is going to probably be just what you need.
We've been giving her pressure for 4 months, man. Ask her.
Well, I mean,
kidding
between
me?
2
We've had
o'clock and
Joe
4
out.
o'clock, I mean, look at the progress between 2 and 4. I mean, can you imagine 4 more days?
She's been my toughest contestant.
Maybe I hear your concerns. My concern is that she hasn't met a deadline yet, and if she's 80% done, and 2 weeks from now she's 90% done, then we're going to kick it down another 2 weeks, and the past often repeats itself, and behavior is behavior, and I agree with Commissioner Daniel. She worked well under pressure, because there's a lot of junk moved out of there in 2 hours, but there's a lot that needs to go, and so we're giving her 5 days to do it.
And I really don't think a U-Haul would be possible. I mean, they're expensive, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't think a U-Haul past Sunday
Well-
would be something she'd want to
No.
pay for.
Only comment I would make to the applicant, or to the
Owner.
resident, the owner, is that I don't think all that stuff can go to the landfill. So, a lot of those things have oil in them, gasoline in them, and they're not gonna be suitable to go to the county landfill.
Yeah, well, then my vote tonight, based on your testimony here, that it will be taken care of in the next couple of days, because you don't want to rent a U-Haul too long. For that reason, and for the reason stated earlier, I'm going to vote yes on this. So unless there's further discussion, we'll go ahead and I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. All right, moving down to our public hearings tonight. Number 1 is ordinance 2024-0-3068 for first reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2024-0-3068 by title only for first reading. An ordinance to the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the second major amendment to the Malkeet Saul Business Plan Unit BPUD Development Agreement, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte? All right, Mr. Walker, you have the floor.
Yes, Mayor. Commissioners, this is to consider a major amendment and a rezone to the Malkit Saul BPUD Development Agreement. It's located on approximately .8 acres. It's on the west side of Nova Road, south, on the corner of South Nova Road and Alabama Avenue. It is addressed and more specifically known in the neighborhood as 1190 and 1184 South Nova Road. Back in 2004, the city commission at that time approved a major amendment to the BPUD to allow the uses that are in the B5 zoning district. And those uses are listed as Exhibit A in your staff report. Over the last 19 years, there have been changes along Nova Road. The applicant's property is now really surrounded by properties that are zoned CC1, which actually allow more uses than what the applicant's property is allowed to have. The development standards are also more relaxed on the CC1 properties, so the applicant's property has more stringent requirements than the properties that surround it. So the applicant would like to add additional uses to their BPUD. They're requesting to amend the BPUD as follows. Right now, there's a single-family home use that is permitted that they're requesting be removed. There are shed sales and display along with the uses of the B6 zoning district that have been added as permitted uses. And setbacks and minimum building separations have been modified or reduced that are now consistent with those of the surrounding CC1 zone properties. Not too long ago, this issue was before the commission, and the problem was that there were sheds all over the property. There was really no room on the property. The sheds had been put there without the zoning that was allowed or without any permission from the city. In fact, the city had told the applicant that they could not have the sheds on the property. Since that time, the applicant has been taken to special master. They have been fined by the special master, a fee that they need to pay, and if this issue is not resolved by the end of the month, daily fines for having the sheds on the property will begin. The way that they can come into compliance is either they remove the sheds or they receive the zoning that they're requesting, which will allow them to have the sheds. What they have done is they have moved all of the sheds more toward the center of the property in what we'll call a display envelope, and that the city clerk has brought up. So you can see that the sheds have been moved away from the edges of the property, the edges of the road. There's clearer visibility. This is not showing the sheds. This is just a display or a showing where the envelope is. Val, can you go to the illustration? It's actually, if you scroll, it might be, yes, there you go. So you see the building and the shed display area, and you can see both of the access points. There's the access point on South Nova and the one on Alabama. So that display area really pulls the sheds in closer to the property. So that is what they're proposing. That is, in fact, what they have already done. In looking at their request, it is consistent with the Land Development Code. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land use that they have in place. So based on that, staff is going to recommend that the City Commission adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from business plan unit development to business plan unit development, which is a major amendment, adding uses and modifying specific development standards and the associated development agreement for approximately 0.8 acres on the west side of Nova Road South, on the corner of South Nova Road and Alabama Avenue, and more specifically known as 1190 and 1184 South Nova Road.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Walker. I have a question. So, Val, can you scroll up to the picture right above that? I appreciate the applicant making the changes to the shed, as this commission all agreed for line of sight reasons and also parking reasons. And I'm good with where the sheds are now, and it looks a lot better. My concern, and I brought this up to you right before the meeting, is the concern is where all of the cars are at the very top. That is a granite and cabinetry place, and they have granite all where the cars are parked in that position. I haven't gone in there to see, but it doesn't, all of those parking spaces are taken up. And I know that's not being approved here, I know that's a approved use, but are there parking requirements? Is this gonna just be a code issue that they have to come into compliance to not have these in the parking spaces? Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, so the applicant has been told that the granite display needs to be taken out of the parking spaces. And you are correct, there are codes that do say that you cannot have your displays taking up all of your parking. So the applicant has been told that, the applicant has said that they're going to discuss the issue with their tenant, but in the meantime, the issue was also brought up at the code enforcement meeting, and so that was something that was part of that discussion. So in the worst-case scenario, if the applicant does not move forward with their discussion with their tenant to move the granite display out of the parking spaces, that will be the subject of further enforcement action.
Okay, thank you. So currently, the property's not in compliance, and I don't mean with just the sheds, because obviously tonight, we're looking at where the sheds are. I think that they're in the right place. I think it'll be the will of the commission, but they just haven't taken that action yet, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, is there any further questions for staff? All right, thank you very much. I know the applicant is here, and the attorney, would you like to come up and just state your name for the record for anyone who is speaking?
How did we bring Jim Rose out of
I know,
retirement?
Mr. Rose.
Out of retirement.
That was kind of unusual, brought him out of retirement.
Come on
I have
up.
a legacy client from Mr. Saul I represented for 30 years, so.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rose, just state your name for the record.
Jim Rose, 21 Eagle Court, Ormond Beach, an attorney for Mike Saul. We're talking about two different pieces of property. You're just talking about the shed property right now?
Well,
Are you good with the shed property? or-
It's the whole PUD, so we're talking
Okay.
about the whole thing right now. But we could just talk about whatever you would like to, but the shed location.
Well, I think the shed location, as you said, Mayor, I believe that they've gotten the footprint of where the sheds are. I went by there today. There are about 14 of them. There's plenty of parking along where you see right there for the sheds. So I think it complies with the code, and I don't have anything more to say than that. In regard to the granite place, I just talked to Mr. Saul, and he's spoken to his tenant about that. I went by there, I wasn't looking for that particular issue, so I can't speak to it other than there's still some there in the front, but
Yes.
but I know Mr. Saul has spoken to his tenant, and other than have him speak to the tenant again, I'll help him with that issue and let the tenant know that the concern of the commission is, we're going to be in front of the code board if you don't take care of this issue. But that's really all I have to say about that. I don't know that much about it.
No, that suffices, and I didn't expect you to say more, so thank you. Are there questions for the applicant? Is there anything further you would like to add before we open it up to the public?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rose, appreciate it. All right, now with that, we will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I will open the floor for a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Clarify your motion, Commissioner. Motion for
I'd
approval?
love to see Nova Road increase.
All right, so motion for approval, Commissioner
Motion
Johnson?
to approve.
We have a motion for approval as written by staff from Commissioner Johnson, and a second from Vice Mayor Penny. Is there any discussion needed? All right, seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, now we'll move to number 2, which is, and actually, we have 2 ordinances here for the next one, and I'll ask Mr. Simpson, as normal, to read both of them into record.
Yes, this is both a land use and a zoning ordinance for the same project. And as we've done normally, we'll read both titles. So you hear our entire presentation for the whole project, then you'll vote on them separately, starting with the land use ordinance first.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 3069 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan by amending the future land use map designation of certain property identified in attachment A by virtue of a small-scale future land use map amendment, changing the future land use map designation from low-density residential to commercial, and further adding text to restrict commercial development on such parcels to personal storage uses, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And ordinance number 3070 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the second major amendment to the Plaza Grand LLC Industrial Plan Unit Development, providing for conflicting ordinances and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Walker.
Yes, Mayor, Commission, this item was before you previously. Again, it concerns the property known as 975 Golf. The property has been approved for a storage facility, a personal storage facility, but the future land use on the property, when the property was annexed back in the early 2000s, never was changed from residential to commercial. So there's the request to have the land use made commercial, which will now make the property compliant with our comprehensive plan. However, there's a text amendment also that will limit the type of commercial that can be done on the property to only a storage facility, a personal storage facility. So that's one thing. The other thing has to do with the actual planned unit development, or the IPUD. In this case, it's an industrial plan unit development. They're asking for a major amendment with regard to the storage facility, and that is to permit the development to occur in more than one phase, or in two phases instead of one. Right now, it has to occur all in one phase. They'd like to develop the front phase, be able to use the cash flow from that to then fund the portion in the rear, and to eliminate the requirement for a manager's residence. Now, when this first came before you, they were also asking to eliminate the requirement to air condition the units. That wasn't something that the commission looked at favorably, and so I met with the applicant before this meeting, and the applicant has said that they are going to rescind that request and now have all of the units air conditioned. So that's the only change, is that the units will be air conditioned. Other than that, the only thing that you're looking at now is permitting them to do the development in two phases instead of one, and eliminating the requirement for a manager's residence. I did also want to clear up a question that Commissioner John Penny had. He was asking a very good question a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't getting the question. I think I was looking at a different issue than he was. So I want to clarify what I think you were asking, Commissioner, because I have an answer for you. So I believe you were asking, in the original PD, what amount of building were they allowed to do? And in the request now, are they exceeding it, below it, or equal to it? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in the original PD, they were allowed a maximum floor area ratio of 0.30, or 13,068 square feet of building per acre. So when we look at the amount of acreage of 4.73 acres, the original PD allowed 61,874 square feet of building. That's what they were allowed in the original PD. In this amendment, what they're proposing is 61,800 square feet. The floor area ratio of 0.30 has not changed. So that remains the same, and the amount of building that they are actually proposing is less than what was allowed in the original PD by about 74 square feet. So I hope that answers the question.
So one unit.
All right.
That's the manager's, that was the manager's unit.
Yes. So, based on that, with them coming into conformity with regard to the air conditioning, staff continues to recommend that the commission approve this project. So the recommendation is to adopt an ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan by amending the future land use map designation of the parcel totaling approximately 5 acres and listed and legally described in Exhibit A by virtue of a small-scale future land use map amendment, changing the future land use map designation from low-density residential to commercial, and to further limit the permitted commercial activity on such parcels to 500 mini warehouse storage units via a comprehensive plan text amendment, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And a separate ordinance, adopt a proposed ordinance approving a major amendment to the IPUD known as Plaza Grande LLC, IPUD for approximately 5 acres located on the south side of Gulf Avenue, approximately 1,100 feet east of Nova Road South, and more specifically known as 975 Gulf Avenue.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Are there further questions for Mr. Walker? Yes, sir.
I just have one little simple question for you, Brian. All the time that Tuck Wilson had a large salvage yard there, that was all residential?
Yes, the land use was residential.
No code enforcement whatsoever, right?
The future land use was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So typically when a property is annexed into the city, the land use and the zoning are changed. The future land use and the zoning are changed to come into conformity with the districts that are allowed in that city. The planned unit development was brought in and allowed or adopted, but for some reason, the land use, and we're going back to probably 2003, 2004, the future land use, that was never addressed. So this is to bring now the property into conformity with our comprehensive plan, because right now, the property is out of conformity with our comprehensive plan, and that needs to be brought into conformity.
That's good.
Right, and that was the city's fault back then, so it's good that the applicant actually went ahead to make this change for us. I know that you specifically had to ask him for it.
That was a pretty bad area for a while.
Yep. Okay, any further questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone else in the audience? Is there anyone tonight that would like to speak on this item? Just raise your hand. All right, seeing nobody, I will close public participation, and I'll open the floor for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion to approve the first ordinance, which is 2024-0-3069 for second reading. Motion to approve from Vice Mayor Penny, a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion? I just have to say and give credit where credit is due. Thank you to our Vice Mayor. At the first reading, you were against this, and after I spoke with you here on the dais and tried to get you to come along, you made the very good suggestion to make this climate controlled, which, if anyone knows anything about storage, brings the value up. And so I just have to give credit where credit is due. Thank you for coming up with that idea and making this a better thing. It's what we should do up here is shape the policy the way that we want to see it, and that the way the community should have it. And just one more statement for anyone that wasn't here before. This project is a property that can't be developed for anything else. This is basically the only use you're going to get on a former place where it was just a junkyard, basically. So this would be the best taxable value that we could provide to the city. But I just want to give credit to our Vice Mayor for coming up with that, and thank you to our staff for going ahead and making that possible. So with that being said, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we'll take up the second reading ordinance 3070, and I will entertain a motion for approval on that.
Motion.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson, a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to number 3 on our agenda here, which is ordinance 2024-0-3071 for second reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2024-0-3071 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the land development regulations by amending the official zoning map to designate the property described in attachment A from R6 low-density multifamily residential district to RPUD residential plan unit development, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Walker, the floor is yours.
Yes, Commission, there have been no changes. The only thing that I'll do is just give a quick recap of what the applicant has asked for. This concerns 1088 10th Street. It's on approximately 9.5 acres of land. The project has been approved already for a 70-unit multifamily apartment building. The only issue was that the minimum apartment sizes that our code allowed were larger than what the applicant was proposing. So the minimum floor size requirement that our code allowed for 1 and 2 bedrooms was basically 900 square feet. That was the minimum apartment size required by the R6 zoning district. So the applicant is requesting that the 1 and 2 bedroom units be 600 square feet minimum. The second bedroom or 2 bedroom units be 850 square feet minimum, and 3 bedroom units be 1,000 square feet minimum. The preliminary development plan was updated since the last meeting only to give clarity on the apartment sizes. For example, the previous preliminary plan said that the 1-bedroom units would be 616 square feet instead of 600, and that the 2-bedroom would be 877 square feet instead of 850 square feet minimum. So those numbers were updated, and that is really the gist of the request. That's what this proposed amendment or rezone basically is all about, in order to adjust the bedroom sizes, and staff continues to recommend it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Are there any questions for staff? I see the applicant is here. Would you like to add anything at this point? Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? No. All right. Seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission about this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Curry, a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Sorry you had to wait through the whole agenda for the shortest item there, but appreciate you being here nonetheless in case we had questions. All right, moving on now to our communications. We'll go over to our city manager.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor.
Mr. Simpson.
Neither.
Mrs. Manning? All right. So, I want to bring up a couple things. So, Mr. Forte and I met with staff two weeks ago, two Mondays ago, to speak about the Veterans Memorial, just kind of putting together like a committee. And so, not this past Monday, not yesterday, but the Monday a week ago, we met with a couple members of Post 120. We had Captain Yates in attendance. We had some staff to just kind of iron out some of the details that we may want to see. So as everybody could see, the Veterans Monument is finally complete. That's awesome. And just to bring everybody up to speed on everything, I'm sure you are, but we will be putting in some light landscaping around it and cleaning and sealing the pavers right out front of it. That's done, the sealing? Okay, good. But the landscaping's not, right? I didn't see it when I went by. So, so now what we're waiting on is scheduling. So we're looking, though, we were looking in March, and we can't do it until after the 10th because Bike Week is then, and we don't want the bikes roaring by. So I expect there to be probably in the neighborhood of 200 people show up because of all the veterans organizations, and we're going to make sure we include every single one of them. Some things that we discussed is we are going to personally invite any family member of any of the 15 men that are engraved on our stone out there to make sure that they come. They will be our honored guests. They will be sitting right up front. We'll have reserved seating for them. So we're looking probably mid-March, maybe late March, depending on speaker schedule. We have a commitment from Congressman Michael Waltz to be our keynote speaker for the event. We'll have the honor guard, first the color guard, and I believe Commissioner Kerr, I believe, is Forrest?
They're the honor guard, yeah. Volusia County.
Color guard or honor guard?
Honor guard.
Honor guard, okay. And the honor guard is going to help with American Post 120 to do the honor guard portion. There will also be color guard to lift the flag. And also taps will be played also at the event to honor the 15 fallen men. It's going to be a really, really meaningful event, and I know Mr. Forte will keep you all up to speed. We should have, at the next meeting, we should have some more specifics. It's just kind of all in the air. We're just throwing out ideas right now, and then we'll come together on it. So we should have some more specifics by the next meeting, and then we're going to plan it, make sure we get the word out as best that we can. And then the other thing that I have tomorrow is the state of the county, but it's over on the west side this year. So I don't know who's all going. I plan to attend that. I think it's in Deltona, right? Yeah. So that's all I have for now. And tonight we'll start with Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say another congratulations to the Business of the Year, our Employee of the Year, and Citizen of the Year. Well earned by each person. And other than that, I have nothing. Have a good night, everybody.
Commissioner Daniel.
Well, I had that on my list too, but you stole my thunder. But no, I just wanted to say that my wife's best friend, I picked her up from the airport. She's got one of these new flight things that comes direct, and I picked her up Friday morning. And she started telling me about a friend of hers that was here a couple weeks ago that was somewhere in Holly Hill, and they started with a P, and she looked in her text, and it ended up being a pickleball facility. She was at the concert for that Allen Sixover. And you know, it was like, so I typically take Mason to Ridgewood and take a left, heading back to the store. And I started kind of pointing out some of the things that have been done and some of the projects and, you know, the things that are coming and the monument, the pickleball, and just throwing out, and she was just kind of impressed. And I started thinking, not to be prideful, because that's not where, but I just thought, boy, we've really come leaps and bounds in the last handful of years over, you know, what was, and, you know, underground utilities, and just, I don't know, just, things are just clicking for Holly Hill, and I was just kind of, yeah, without being prideful, you know, but, so, I just wanted to share that. Other than that, happy Valentine's, wore my red, so. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Johnson.
The only thing I have is everyone here familiar with the project that DOT has lately of the Best Foot Forward? Does everyone know what that is all about?
I do.
I know you do.
Yeah, the crosswalk stuff.
Huh?
The crosswalk.
Yeah, the crosswalks and all. Yeah, they have they're getting pretty serious about that in a lot of areas, and it's, I think, $160-something fine and 3 points on your license if you don't yield. And now they've got programs where they're putting undercover officers in a lot of those intersections. And tomorrow, it's at Walker
Don't
and
tell
Center.
everyone.
It's
Nah,
pretty
you all
public.
don't jaywalk.
It's pretty public. It's at Walker and Center tomorrow, which I'm been invited by the DOT.
Captain Yates is sitting back there like, oh, lids off of it.
And it's from 1,300 hours to 1,300 hours to 1,430 hours. And I've been invited to be an
Exact time,
I've been
Commissioner.
invited to be an observer, which I accepted. I'm going to be an observer for that, to watch to see how they actually do it. I don't know if they're standing there like they're going to come out and you don't stop, or if they're actually out in the intersection. I mean, some people will stand back and wait to see, but you still, I would say you have to stop. When they started putting those flashing lights on those diamonds at those things, I think it really they had a good reason for it, you know what I mean? So I'd be very careful about it, you know, I mean, especially with 3 points on your driver's license, you know.
Yeah. So if you're driving, make sure to stop. Anybody crossing the road, so,
DOT is getting very serious about that.
well said. Anything else for us,
That's
Commissioner?
one other thing I sure would like to see LPGA get improved before more traffic get on it, you know. LPGA is just, it's bad. That's all I can say is it's bad. As in, I try to go into Buc-ee's, you go into Buc-ee's, if you don't even get fuel to go inside, it's gonna cost you a half an hour. You know what I mean? It's gonna take a half an hour to get in and out.
backside, it's better.
It doesn't, I tried that.
Going
I've
through
tried
Stonewoods.
that, it's still, it takes you a half an hour to get in. And now they're building more, they're building a bigger one, it's a lot bigger.
That's a car wash.
Oh, I thought that was adding on to the Buc-ee's.
That's what it is.
It's a Buc-ee's.
It'd be one of the biggest car washes.
But it's Buc-ee's car wash?
That's what we need, more car washes.
Yeah, and speaking of car washes, whatever happened to the one at Flomis?
It's for sale.
Oh, so they're not gonna put one.
Real hard with code enforcement. I'm not gonna reduce the.
So they're selling it now, but, so it's probably gonna be something besides a car wash, right?
No,
Storage, yeah, we need
it'll
more storage.
probably stay. It's zoned, so that's a hot, in real estate, that's a hot property to have, so I'm surprised they're not developing it.
Anything on the north end of Nova Road is hot project,
Yeah, yeah.
or that way I know, or one Nova anywhere, just about.
Yeah, but you're right, Commissioner, that property is just, it's so,
On and on, on and on.
it's fallen down, so
The
it's,
last thing that was ever there was a frozen frosty, what was it?
yep, a hot dog and,
Little
Snow
frosty
cones,
place.
snow cones.
yeah.
And that was back, way back, man, when I was a mayor and McCroskey was the city manager, we opened that up, you know. I yield to Vice Mayor Penny, he hasn't spoke yet.
All right, Vice Mayor.
On your way home tonight, drive down Riverside Drive.
Yep, I was gonna bring that up.
Drive down Riverside Drive and look at the lighting on the sidewalk. It's beautiful. The sidewalk is wonderfully illuminated. It doesn't go into people's windows. It's just right on the walking path. Just take 3 minutes out of your life and drive down Riverside Drive. Because one of the things that took this city the longest to do is to connect that sidewalk to Ormond. Your dad was the mayor when that happened. And so it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful view. Just take a drive home. Your blood pressure will go down, promise you. So I have to report to you, Commission, a meeting that I went to on Friday. And I believe we were all invited to meet with this individual. And I didn't think anything positive would come out of it, but I went and met with him anyways. It's Mr. Varga at the church that Mr. Legary talked about tonight. But he started the meeting, which I thought was going to be, I went there with an open mind, that we could have a discussion and possibly agree to disagree on some ballot initiatives that were overwhelmingly voted in by our citizens. And I have to tell you, he started off the conversation playing me a song. It's an old Glenn Campbell song, and it says, "Try a little kindness." Play it in your head if you've never heard it before. But I thought, wow, this is going to be a great meeting. I'm glad I came to this meeting. And we stayed in the parking lot, and we talked for 90 minutes. I listened to him talk quite a bit. I tried to educate him on the things that he was confused about. And his attitude changed when I tried to educate him. And he wasn't open to any responses that I gave him, any considerations that I gave him, any compromises that I tried to make with him. But at the end of the day, we agreed. I walked away agitated, angry, felt I wasted 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back. But he asked me at that moment to call all of you and convince you to come talk to him. And I told him that I couldn't do that because we might be violating the Sunshine Law, but I would bring it up tonight. And out of the spirit of compromise, I told him I'd bring it up tonight, and I asked him if he would take down some of those messages on his sign. and he absolutely refused. So I think I'm taking the high road. I brought it to your attention. He's requesting to meet with you individually. My personal opinion is your blood pressure will go up. You'll have to drive down Riverside Drive a lot to lower your blood pressure back down. And I don't think he's open-minded enough to learn. That's the kindest way I can say it. But I brought it to you tonight because I told him I would. That's all I got.
I appreciate you bringing it, but as my answer was, it will stand. If he wants to talk to me, he can come here on a Tuesday night that we meet. I blocked him a long time ago. 4 calls.
I was here the day, I came in here the day that they had the special master meeting with Pastor Varga. And I don't know if anyone else was here or not, but it was a sight to behold. He made it absolutely clear that he wanted to tell you what he wanted to tell you, and he wasn't gonna listen to what you had to say. And Brian could, I'm sure Brian could testify to that. You was here for the special master, Pastor Varga, right?
Play that song tonight. It's a good song. Listen to that song. If you could live your life that way, it's a good song.
All right, and in closing, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and thank you, Carmen, for staying the whole time. I know you're a political junkie, so hope you got your fill, and Amanda, thank you for being here. And let me just say, too, congratulations to our vice mayor, who is now signed up to run for this seat. As you all may or may not know, I'm term limited, and so I will be leaving at the end of this year. And congratulations to you, Vice Mayor. I remember when I sat over there and when I filed to run for office, you congratulated me as you were going out. So it's cool that the tables are turned. And
Thank you.
So congratulations on that.
Not his first trip either.
What's that?
Not his first trip.
Yeah, not your first rodeo, right? All right. Is there anything further? Any further business? All right. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Okay.
Hey, Val.